Hi, I'm Ina, and when I first met JR, after having some dreams and an experience in Insight One with JR, that that first experience was really in the experience. I was doing one of the insight processes.
Do you remember the year?
Oh gosh, 1983 maybe? 1982, 83, around there. And all of a sudden, I was doing this process and I went off and I saw St. Francis of Assisi. And he was saying, "Come follow me." He would, and I was in this process, but I was out of my body. And so he started walking on water. And he started walking and he would turn back and smile. And then I started following him, walking on water. And I knew it was JR. I knew it was actually JR, but as St. Francis. Why it was like that, I don't know. So it was very exciting, very joyful, very profound to have had that experience. And that happened probably before I even started reading discourses. And the way I started reading discourses was I had been hanging out with an insight group in El Paso, and then I started dating somebody that was on that insight team, and we went to his house to pick something up, and we went in, and I was just waiting for him in the dining room or living room, and he went off to the bathroom, and I see this little booklet on his table, and I pick it up and I start reading it, and I was like, oh my God. It was a discourse, and I was so uplifted and just lit with that. And he comes out and he's freaked. Oh my God, that's my discourse. And I said, okay. And he said, get your own. And I said, well, I will. So then that was my first real encounter with discourses. And I don't know, it might have been a few months after that JR announced that he was coming to El Paso. And out of the blue, I just wrote and I said, would you like for me to translate for you? And he said, yes. And so some time passed and he was about to arrive in El Paso. And I was feeling extremely sick. So sick, just nauseous and faint and everything. And I got a urine test, a blood test, and there was nothing physiologically wrong. So this friend of mine, Ruth Dreyer, said, why don't you talk to Greg something or other. He's a walk-in and he can, maybe he can help you because I can't help you. So I called Greg and he said, and I was even in bed, I was that sick, and he said, okay, sit up. So I sat on the bed. He said, oh, you're about to do some major work. You're about to work with someone that they call the mystical traveler. He said, I see him in the realms working. So I would say when you're there already translating, you look up and you will see a castle of lights that goes all the way to infinity. And that will be where the traveler is. And he said he'll be working, and that will be that castle of lights that you will see. And that he is, and that is with him. So then I went, okay. Well, I continued feeling sick for 3 more days, and then the day arrived. I went to that place where we were going to do the seminar. And I walked up to the stage and I looked at JR, and then I came close and then I said, JR, I'm not feeling very well at all. I'm quite faint. And he went. And then I got close, we sat down and we started. As soon as I uttered the first word translated, everything I was feeling just lifted. And I was like right there, strong, clear. So I realized that all I had to do was just trust and just be there, relaxed, clear, open, and not in my mind. Just be here now, very present. That was the most rewarding thing of my years with JR. That when I translated for JR, I was so present. There was nowhere to go in my mind and my emotions, nowhere. I was there and I was elated. But I was so present that it was such a joy to be so present. So all I did was relax, trust, and go. It was as if it was like coming in, going out. Just coming in, going out. And that was from day one. All I did was trust and relax. And that was the key to translating for JR. And what came with that was a feeling of, I am here. I would not want to be anywhere else but here. Because to describe the being here now with a traveler, with JR, I can't even put into words. So that was my first seminar, and it was called The Spiritual Warrior. Well, it so happens that my mother, my father, and my sister, my oldest sister, were there too. So that was a big joy and gratitude for them to be there.
I was there.
You were there too.
Amazing.
Right. So that happened. From then on, I was called and asked to translate for him when he did translating for the Chihuahua people, in Mexico City. In South America is where I went the most, I think. And then in El Paso, the times he came, and to New Mexico, and to Spain, and to several countries in South America. I loved doing that work with him. It was like, this is where I let go of my karma. This is where I charge up with who I am. This is where I get to know what divinity is. This is where I get to know what here and now is, what a traveler is, who I am. This was everything.
Mm.
It gave me everything. And when I was actually translating the seminar, I didn't have to think about what he was saying or what the word is at all.
Mm.
It was such a natural thing.
Mm.
So, of course, I was on for the next 25 years or however many that was, to go wherever I could, wherever he was going, I was available.
I want to jump to, so how many years did you do the Grace Retreat? You were always the girl hiding in the little room in the back.
How many years did we do it?
I know we did about, I could have sworn we did 30. No, we did. When I got in 88, so I would say, I remember going to Yucca Valley. I thought that was one there. And then
I didn't do Yucca Valley.
But then at Asilomar, I was in all of them.
And I didn't do New York. And after that, I think I didn't do one in Asilomar, and then I did the rest.
You did the rest. How was
that? As long as there were five or more people.
Talk about that experience every year, that 7 days translating. What was going on?
That was the amazing thing. I thought either I'm very, I have a lot of energy, but I very soon realized it wasn't that. I felt like the traveler energy was just carrying me, but I wasn't a weight on the traveler energy. I was just like scooped up, and there we were. So all I had to do in that little room where I was happy as anything, because I didn't want anybody to disturb me.
Mm-hmm.
I was fine being there. I didn't have to be seen. I didn't have to be heard physically or seen. I was, as if I wasn't disturbed, I was happier.
Mm-hmm.
So I could just relax and not focus on anything else.
Mm-hmm.
It was wonderful being in that little dark room. I never felt like I was an outcast or anything. If I wasn't cold, I was fine. So, I had my water, my coffee once in a while, and there we were, 7 days nonstop. And all I had to do was get to bed at some reasonable time, give myself over to the traveler, and I was ready to go the next day. So one of the times that I translated with JR in Spain, we were there and it was kind of subdued. It was a different energy. And JR and I were there and the seminar was going on. And all of a sudden, I burst out crying. And there I was. There was JR and just crying and crying and crying. He put his hand here and he said, she's going through what you all went through here. You were imprisoned here. I think we were Jewish. And that's what's going on here. That you're clearing that time in prison. So, finally I calmed down. We finished. I mean, I was like shaking. Oh, I couldn't stop shaking. But my crying stopped and we kept going. At the end of the seminar, I got up and my legs could hardly hold me. So we went out and he held me and he said, what would you like to do? And I said, I'd like to go have a beer. And it's because for some reason, sometimes a cold beer would relax me and I don't know, ground me maybe. I don't know what it was. So we went and we had a beer. And that was in Spain. But all those people were like amazed. And it was quite a big, profound clearing for these people. And I thought that it had been something about my mother. Something came up where my mother and I were having a problem. And I thought that's the emotion that came up. But apparently it was the prison thing that we were clearing. So that was one example. I'll have to think of other well, because it's funny. They're just popping up in random years. One time he was in El Paso, and I think I was in charge of creating the venue and people for the seminar for JR. So usually when JR would go to different cities, they would ask if somebody could offer a song, a dance, music. I could find no one, and I didn't have a great voice. And most of the time I didn't know a complete song. Oh, that's another anecdote I have about memory. So I asked a friend of mine that played the guitar a little. And I said, come on, we'll both sing. You play the guitar, that simple song. I think it was Cielito Lindo, that one, because we both knew the lyrics, right? So she agreed, and she got up there, and she started playing, and we started singing. And I sort of forgot the words. Can you imagine? It's such a common song. It's like, happy birthday to you. And I turned, and she was singing. So what I did was I was mouthing, pretending to sing with no singing. So I just did that just to be with her, just to support her. And finally we finished. And JR was right in front, looking at me with this giggle in his face. And he says, that was slick. And I said, yes, it was. I remember on one occasion asking him why I felt like a pot, like a steel pot on top of my head, because I had been told that in some lifetime I was an oracle or someone that knew so much that people would come to me for answers to anything. And I always responded. And this was like my mission, I guess. So that's what I did, and I did it. So, but it was a lot. And so it was nonstop. And so in the next lifetime, to quiet my mind, the traveler had me fall and hit my head. And I could not, or in that same lifetime, but later, I hit my head and after that, I knew nothing. And that was the way to get rid of the ego and to quiet my mind. And so that did it, because then I judged myself because
Who
I
told
didn't
you
know
that?
anything. Well, it might have been Michael
Oh,
that
that's
told me
very
that.
interesting.
Yeah. And so after that, I said, is that a reason why I feel like I still now in this lifetime, like I'm being held down mentally? And he said, yes. So that was still going on, like, and yet I didn't need, that the sharp mental to translate for him ever. So that was an interesting, and I sometimes still feel that, like
Yeah,
there's some of that
that's
going
my
on.
sense, and I've watched, nothing to do with other translators, but I've sensed when you filter it through you get in trouble. It has to go what you're hearing and out.
Yeah,
What you're hearing and out.
yeah,
If you filter it, Jer corrects you, and he doesn't even know Spanish, but he
yeah,
would be like, "No, that's not it." And then when you say the right word, Jer would go, "That's it."
yeah. That's it,
You
exactly.
know.
Yeah, it was really so much fun. It was so much fun, really. And sometimes he would come up with he would say something, and I couldn't think of a word for it, but I make a sound, and that sound like or
Yeah.
who cares? Well, oh, so or something that matched what was
Right.
going on.
Right.
And he would always turn and say, that was good.
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of fun. One time, I think in Chile, he was going up some stairs, and he was so fragile in that moment. It felt like that to me. So I was behind him. I mean, I must have thought that if he fell on one of those stairs, I was going to catch him, because I was right there. He said, that's right. All we all need is a universal mother right by you to take care of you.
Mm.
So I didn't know if that was good or bad, but it was funny anyway. What else? On another occasion, we were, I think, in El Paso also. Maybe it was that same occasion. And I was in the sound area with the sound people. I don't know what I was doing there, helping maybe. And JR was going by, and he looked inside, and he went in there, and he gave me a big kiss, and then left. And he said, thank you. And that made my day, like it was just amazing. Let's see. Oh gosh, I should have jotted down some other experiences. He was always so gentle with me. Oh, one time in Spain, we were in Spain, and I kept getting, we were in the same hotel, I kept getting, you need to talk to JR, you need to talk to JR, I didn't know exactly about what. So I called him, and no one answered. I knocked on his door, and no one answered. But as soon as I went out, there he was. So he showed up, and he took me by the hand, and then we both walked, and it was in Spain. And so I sort of felt like there was a completion going on, a clearing going on between JR and I. And he said something like, yeah, he said, Spain is perfect. It's a beautiful place for love, for romance, for being here. It's just a wonderful life in Spain. And he turned and looked at me, and I felt, we've done this before. It was just so clear to me. And then he said, but you know what? The regional karma, the national karma would catch up with us. He said, so it's a wonderful place, but then there's the karma.
Mm.
So, but I felt like that trip was a completion for me with JR of some other lifetime going on with us.
Mm.
And
I think that was 97, 98.
yeah, right? Or maybe when the Olympics, when were the Olympics going on in Barcelona?
Oh, 92.
92.
Mm.
I think that was in 92. And there were always funny things going on. Like in Spain, he also taught me how to drive with a gear shifting down so that I wouldn't use the brakes.
Mm.
And then if there was anyone in the back seat trying to tell me what to do, he would say, "What are you doing here? You were not invited in this car."
Yeah.
And he would just start laughing. You know, he would just like make
Well,
fun.
those are rules.
Yeah, that
rules,
was for one of the Babinet's,
rules
one of
all
the
over.
Babinet's sons.
There's only one. There's only
The
pedals.
young one.
There's only pedals underneath my feet. There's only one pedal, brake and accelerator under my feet. So I'm the driver, essentially. Like.
But he was teaching me, so he wanted me to listen and me to do, but he didn't want anybody else's feedback, because he wanted me to drive fast and then gear down, you know, and just learn how to do that. And
well, that's pretty much for any driver. You're not supposed to give feedback to the driver at all. You're supposed to shut up and let the driver drive.
No side or back drivers, yeah. And then when he came to Vancouver, we were at the Vancouver hotel having dinner, and it was John. I don't think John was married at that point. Lori Lerner, JR. Who could have been there with us? Peter, I guess. So I said to JR, you know, JR, I've got something going on in my womb, in my reproductive area. I think I have a prolapsed uterus. And so he started talking about someone in MSIA. I'm not going to mention names, but he started talking about them. It almost sounded like gossip. And I was like a little confused, you know, like, why is he talking about this person, going on and on and on and on? I think he was working on my uterus, and he wanted me like really confused and out so that I wouldn't get in the way. So he started making up some story about somebody that was like, oh my God, really? Why is he saying this to me? So he went on and on and on. Then at the end of that dinner, he said, so the next thing is you go home and you stand on your head a few times so that your uterus goes back into place. Well, at that time I had a lot of neck problems, so the most I could do was get on my head in bed against the wall, but on the bed. And I did that 2 or 3 times just in case. And I never had uterus problems again. That was it for that. So that was a pretty amazing. I think that was the time someone hit JR on the street, tapped him, and he got his eye went like this. Were you there?
Always when those eyes were like that, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, bless him. It's amazing. Then he used to like for me to tell him jokes. Silly, you know, dirty jokes sometimes. And he just loved it, you know, and so I would tell him a joke and he would laugh like anything, you know. It was like, tell me the one about da-da-da-da, and he would sort of describe it, and I would tell him a dirty joke. And, you know, the freedom to just, here's my spiritual way shower, and I can tell him a dirty joke with all the joy and the love and the respect in the world, you know.
Yeah.
And he gets joy out of that. That was pretty amazing. So then one time they had these little, at conference, they would come out with different products. That year they had a little manual massager, vibrator type thing with a string on it, where if you were traveling, you could like hold it against you and it was very soothing. So I was having fun with that little vibrator. I had it hanging, and then when people would come close to me to give me a hug, I would buzz it, and it would buzz them, and they would be like shocked. So I think that there was kind of a convergence thing going on, because then I saw JR, and he like stared at me to see if I was going to do something with him, and I went up and I said, "May I buzz you?" And he said, "Yes, because you always do." And I went, you know, I had to think about that, so I buzzed him, and that was funny. And then I remember I buzzed Nat, and he was furious. He was just absolutely furious. I buzzed everybody that year. I mean, I was like a little girl, you know. Oh, the little girl thing. One time, since I did JR Spanish Mail, this woman wrote from Spain. And she said, JR, I want to know why it is that for years I've been dreaming a dream where a little girl here in Spain is going from door to door and she's knocking and she's saying that her name is Ina and that she's bringing joy. And now I get this letter that's from you, done by her, written by her. What is going on here? So, you know, that was that lady's experience for years of dreams where she saw Ina knocking on doors in Spain. And so she wanted to know what that was about. He didn't. I don't think he answered. You know, but I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, that was my first test with JR. Was the first year I was hanging out with him, and he gives me Spanish mail. He's like, "You know how to read Spanish?" I wasn't lying. I just want to be next to JR. Can I read? Yeah, I can read. Can I read well? No. So I was like going, I don't know what this is. She's saying something about this, and he takes the paper away. He goes, "It's okay."
What year did you come in?
It's 88. I'm with him on a plane or a bus, and he whips out all this mail.
That's amazing, because I was doing mail by then.
Oh, he's just testing me.
Maybe not. Maybe it was
Jared was like, "Can you speak Spanish?" I'm like, "Yes, I can." It's like, "Can you play the piano?" I can play the piano. Can I play the piano well? No. Can I play Mozart? No.
I remember that on that Spain trip where everyone was going to the Olympics, he said, "Are you coming with us?" And I didn't have the money, and I had a commitment to do some contract work for Safeway store, Big 8 stores for Richard Powell.
Oh yeah, Richard Powell. Yeah.
And at that time I was very responsible, and I had 3 kids, so I said, "I'm not going." And I really thought I should have dropped everything and gone, but that's where I was, being responsible. So I went back, didn't go to the Barcelona.
Yes.
And
sometimes it's a test question,
Yeah.
It's like, are you going to commit, or are you going to drop everything when you're not it's checking your integrity. Sometimes you don't know.
Yeah. Right.
Only you would know that.
Yeah. It felt clear not to go, but then I was so sorry not to go. Because when you were with JR, you just wanted to be with JR.
Mm-hmm.
You wanted to go wherever JR went, because everything was well when you were around JR. Everything was joy. Everything was where it had to be. There was a carrier wave that, that was JR's wave, that, it was a come follow me wave where everything was perfect.
I also equated it like, if JR is there, everybody has to behave. Like everybody's checked.
Yeah. Yeah, everything is good.
When there's no JR, then you can kind of slide. But when JR is there, you have to self-check yourself.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I feel out of. I'm not connected. I'm connected.
Yeah.
And JR's in you, checking.
Yeah.
It's kind of. I think that's still going on.
Yeah, I think so too. I have a lot of conversations inside with JR, and I check for even the smallest things, and it's always so here now, still here. I'm here.
Yeah, talk about some of that. Like, what's your process now with I always tell people JR lives. So what's your process with that living master inside of you?
Well, it's a daily thing. I think I'm like having a conversation in there with JR about all sorts of things. What do I do, JR? I can't take this weather here. Guide me, show me. And then I'll hear something. It's not out here type of sound. It's an in there. Hang in there for now. Breathe more. Find more joyful things to do. eat better than you're doing. Go to that ozone therapy. Go to that acupuncturist. Agree with Peter today. Just agree. Give him some strokes. Ignore him. Don't feed his ego. I just get those responses. And a lot of it is breathe and relax. A lot of it is do your SEs, relax. And then I've been asking him, am I going to be around? Because for a while, like a year ago or a little less, I didn't know if I was, on my way out. So he would just bring in a sense of calm, all is well. Keep going, keep cooperating. So I did the whole process of that particular oral medication, and I'm clear of the lymphoma. And so I don't have a whole lot of energy, and that's what I'm working on now, to see what am I doing or not doing, what's next for me, so that I can have more energy and awareness to be here now, to want to go on, to want to bring back that joy and that energy that I felt was there. And so I listen to him, and they're very simple questions, just to get along day to day. And so I feel like I'm doing the right thing at the right time because I checked in, so that's
what I feel too.
Yeah.
I as long as I check in, I'm never, unbelievably, I'm never steered off track. I just check in. That's what I'll do.
Yeah.
And that was my process coming here to Canada, was like, oh yeah, now it's time to go. So
That's wonderful. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm very glad.
So
I'm sure I have more things, but they're going to be spontaneous, and we won't be.
No, you said enough. So what the way that we end it is, what would you want to say to JR? We always put that as a tag at the end.
JR, I'm here to grow in love and light. I'm here to complete in this lifetime. If it's possible, I would like to complete in this lifetime. I'm open to all your assistance. Show me how to love more, how to be more, how to follow my spirit, my soul, my heart, how to follow my inner traveler, and always show up for me when I need you. And I'm open to you, and I'm open to be course corrected, and show me the way of living love. And I'm so grateful, eternally grateful, that you came and found me. And I'll see you in my dreams, and anytime at all. I love you, JR. God bless you.